practice 9. We've had a really good summer to this point. I like this team a lot. It's a very mature, very hard-working team. Today was our 9th. We get 10 practices in preparation for this trip. Today was practice 9. We've kept those right at 2 hours. We've been very basic. We tried to get up and down a little bit in every day that we've practiced. Getting guys acclimated to FIBA rules and the 24-second shot clock and knocking the ball off the rim and some of those things. But that aspect of it has been really good for us. Learning to play a little quicker, make better decisions in a quicker frame of time. But it's been a good summer. I'm excited for this trip. Not only the trip itself, going to Spain and going to someplace that nobody's been, but to see some different uniforms and just kind of get a jump started and then start putting pieces together. We'll play everybody over there. We'll have some different lineups probably in every quarter. Some guys will play more in certain games than others. Just as we get the opportunity to look. Obviously, we'd love to go win them all and play great, but the biggest thing is learning a lot about ourselves while we're over there. So it's been very basic in terms of what we've taught. We tried to be very good on the defensive side, very disciplined on that side, and then offensively, we don't have. We're kind of a shell of ourselves in terms of what we'll have offensively in terms of sets, but most of our stuff's been our quick hit stuff that's in. So, it's been good. I like this team. I like the leadership. I like our maturity, and I've been really excited about that.
Health-wise, how are Marcus and Terrence's wrists?
Terrence is fine. Marcus has had a somewhat frustrating summer from an injury standpoint. He's tweaked a hamstring yesterday, so being on the cautious side, not having him do anything today or tomorrow. And again, we'll with hamstrings, we'll err on the side of caution with those, but it's been something that's aggravating. Terrence has been fine and is in a really good spot. And Keaton Kuchar has also been out. He's been fighting concussion. So, but for the most part, we've gotten through the summer in a pretty healthy fashion, and hope we do that in Spain.
Will Marcus play on the trip?
We'll see. Yeah, those are all. Like I said, we're going to err on the side of caution, and we'll see. And hopeful that he gets that opportunity.
Brad, what's your challenge as a coach of all these new pieces, putting this roster together schematically and figuring out what's best for this team?
Yeah, I think it's, again, I go back to my junior college days. It's very much like that. This group is old. It's got a very mature way of thinking. It's a very experienced group. You're talking about, Guy and Marcus and Justin and Quincy coming into a new program with 90 to 100 games under their belt, 1,600 point scorers. So you've got an experience standpoint that is really nice. You've also got a maturity side of things from a physical, and that's just the physical, the emotional, the actual experience of playing in games. They understand that. So they're very matter of fact in their approach and what they do in terms of how they work, and it's just getting up to speed with our terminology and how we do things, and that's been very seamless, as easy maybe as any group we've ever had. Now, how all the pieces fit together, we have to see somebody else. It gets hard in a scrimmage seeing each other move pieces around every day. But actually, once we see a different uniform and we can start working on combinations, I'm pretty excited to see how all that plays out.
What do you expect to learn about these guys when you're over there?
Yeah, it's as much a team building and build your chemistry and let guys hang out and get to know each other and we've had very competitive practices. Our whole summer's been based around competition. We know this is a very competitive group. They handle competition in a mature way. They handle the competitive side in a mature way. Now we get to see that, how they handle adversity against somebody else and how that evolves and grows. And so, I think obviously we want to see combinations. We want to see, what guys fit in certain scenarios and what guys' strengths are. So all the basics, so everything that you would think about, we want to find out as well. But a lot of the other team and chemistry and who plays well together, we want to find that out. And we get the opportunity with 3 games to do that.
In an era where there's more player movement, is there more of an advantage to something like this where you get that extra time?
I hope so. I think that obviously you get 10 practices and you get a year ago, we didn't have a whole lot in. We had guys just getting acclimated to the weight room and trying to get bigger and stronger and better, and that's been still a part of it. But you got guys that have grown man bodies, and so now we're with this trip we obviously have to have some offense in, and we've really tried to dial up a lot of the fundamental things that will be the base for the season, and then we get to go see 3 opponents. So it's not just a great educational piece that we'll get to tour and do those things, but it's the basketball side of it's pretty good because you get to compete.
So Ty's playing a good amount of point guard. What are you seeing from him, and what's that position like as a whole in terms of who you think can play that spot?
Yeah, I think it's really good. Ty's been really good. Draven, as a freshman, we've played him a lot there as well. We've seen Nico there a good amount. We've seen Sincere there a good amount. So it's like any other year. You got to figure out who plays well together and with what. Ty is a different point guard, being 6'6", 6'7", long. He's strong. He's as good an athlete as we've got. I think he maxed out touching at 12-2 or something the other day. It was vertical and powerful. And you start putting shooters around him, that court opens up and gets pretty wide. And so, that excites us because we've got some versatility in each of those guys.
What's probably the biggest thing Ty needs to develop as he goes to baseball?
Well, I think it's just an understanding of being a quarterback, what that entails. He's very vocal. Understanding when they win and where the game goes. It's it gets really hard, and you guys saw it today a little bit. It gets really hard when you face our ball screen coverage because so much of it's 2-on-2, and it's not a lot of tagging. Well, he's going to see tags over there, and he's going to have to make reads and get guys involved, and it's not about scoring as much as it is when you face our defense. So all those little subtleties, that reading the game, getting guys involved, understanding pace, understanding the control of the game. Defensively, he's really, really good at that end of the court because a lot of times he can just physically overpower some people. So, but he's been really, really good.
What's the difference of Luke now compared to at the end of the season when he was basically just coming back?
Conditioning, shape, confidence, just the going through the ability. There's so much mental about being healthy and being able to go through your everyday grind that you go through as a player, the workouts, and you feel better about your workouts, and you feel better about your conditioning, and he's worked extremely hard at his conditioning, and he's just light years ahead of where he was at the end of the season because he's been able to sustain and be out here every day. So the mental part of that comes with that, knowing that you're at your best and you're in your best shape and you're getting your 500 threes up every day, and so you're confident, and that's been one of the great things about seeing Luke healthy.
Coach Terrence said he was one of his primary focus was consistency. Have you seen that more from him this summer?
Yeah, he's had a great spring. I think going through the process helped him understand some shortcomings. I think it's great to hear it from maybe the next level people as well. Working on offhand stuff, working on his mid-range, working on his floater, not trying to, I won't say disappear from games, but being more assertive in a continual type of way. And I think that's one of the things we're trying to work with as a coach is make sure he's assertive. He's not just a first-team All-League guy. He might be a first-team All-American. I mean, he's what they look like, and elevating his status up the scouting report. Not that it wasn't at the top, but he's going to be one of those guys, and we need him to be consistent and assertive all the time, not just in segments of the game. We need him to be a dominant rebounder. We need him to be a dominant defender. I think he's one of the best two-way guys in the country in terms of offense and defense and what he can do. We need him to be that 10 rebound and a half game guy that we had against UCLA. We need him to be that guy for us as well, because it leads to the one thing he does great, and that's playing the open court. And so, all those conversations we've had, and he's very confident and very committed to making sure that happens.
Coach, I assume Quincy came here largely because he felt he fit well in the system. How's that marriage worked scheme-wise?
He's been tremendous. He's been literally dominant on the glass from day one, and I think that we've seen that. His versatility. There's a guy that day in and day out can win any of our shooting contests or shooting drills. Very, very good three-point shooter, can space it. He's worked really hard on his ball handling, putting him in a position to play into some matchup issues. But just his maturity and his poise is very evident. You can tell it's a guy who's been through it and been through it at a high level. He's been coached very well, so the transition's been very easy for him. But he gives us great versatility because he's big and strong. You can play some small ball five with him, and can slide to the three. And so he's been tremendous.
The player had mentioned putting an emphasis of evolving his offensive game. What have you seen from him on that front to kind of take that next step on that side?
Yeah, it's not just playing on the ball. It's doing stuff off the ball. We've seen him. He's worked awfully hard since the end of last season. I think he went through the freshman lack of confidence, unsure. Shooting it, unsure at the free throw line. I think all those are gone. And I think that he can be a tremendous asset in the open court, pitching it ahead, attacking. Trying to not always have the ball. Where he can catch it in one or two dribbles, and we've seen him finish. He's a great finisher. He's athletic, and he's awfully twitchy. So it's just adding a little bit of arsenal to his game, and not having him be a point full time and have to think about everything that goes along with that. Sometimes just playing the game.
With Quincy and Marcus here, Luke said that this freed him up to play the three a little more and run around a lot more as a shooter. Just what does that maybe do for him?
I hope confidence. I hope understand that he's a guy we have to get shots for. And it's and sometimes it's a matchup that we like. He's an elite shooter. He's very, very good at shooting the basketball, running away from the basket. There's not many of those out there, where you can rip him off baseline screens and actions. He's got size, so that forces maybe some smaller guys to guard him, and he shoots over the top of those guys very easily. And yet sometimes with a four-man, it can cause a matchup. So it gives us a lot of versatility and different things to do with it.
Dre's pretty loud for a freshman. It seemed like today. What's he brought on the court?
Yeah, Dre's good. He's a good player. I don't want to get the cart before the horse, so to speak, with him. But he does not lack confidence. He is as hard a working guy, really, as we've had. He lives in here. He asks questions. He wants to know. He's got a maturity about him, both he and Amani, in terms of how much film they're watching and the questions they ask are the right ones. It's just it's now just living the experience. But very, very good shooter. He's got a great floater. He's very talkative. He's not shy and bashful, and he's not lacking for confidence. And that's something that has been evident from day one. But there's no doubt not only Draven but Amani, they both fit. They're very talented and have been very well coached.
How important are these practices and this Spain trip for those guys, the young
It's
guys?
huge. They're getting a ton of opportunities, and it's a opportunity for them to see grown men, in all three of these games that play and the pace they play, but just go out and compete and get a feel for what it's like to be a college basketball player. That's huge. The experience piece of that is tremendous, bigger for them than anybody else. So I'm excited for those guys to get their feet wet and kind of get some of the nervousness and the jitters that come with just playing my first college basketball game.
What was their coaching work over there? Would it be a chance at all in any of those games for your assistants to maybe step
I'm not coaching any of them. Chester's got game one. Tim's got game two. Jeff's got the third one. All set with the notepad, keep notes. It's a great opportunity for those guys to slide over a seat, make decisions. It's a great opportunity for Zach and Tyler to kind of step into some of their new roles and be involved that way. Tyler on the offensive side, Zach on the defensive side, help those guys that way. It's not just a great learning experience for our players. It is for our staff as well, as they get to sit in that seat.
You mentioned that in Italy. Just what was it? What did you take from that for yourself?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I laughed. I mean, in all seriousness, it's fun to see guys how they act and how they react, and you pick up on what their thought process might be compared to what your thought process might be. I'm not into, in a game, my thoughts are going to win out. Now I get to evaluate and see how they think in a situation, or what they're seeing compared to what I'm seeing. And I'll leave all the substitutions up to them. We'll talk a little bit about lineups prior to the game, but all those decisions will become theirs, and it's good. It's good for those guys.
Has there been a big emphasis on body transformation, or what you want to do with Fletch this summer with the guys?
It's been
Ty City got down to 205. That was a big deal for him.
It's just the natural process that you go through in our program. It's not. It's the experience of 8 weeks of Fletch, and asked Ty to take his shirt off. I mean, he's just ripped. he's just chiseled, and it's all those guys, and it's you know, it's Amani's going through it, you know, and he's a young man who's dropped weight, but he's got to add and get flexible and do those things, and then he'll start putting back good weight back on. But it's the nutrition piece, it's the conditioning piece, you know, and that happens from year to year. That's why old wins sometimes. As you guys get older, they get in the weight room, they get established, they get in much better shape because their bodies are different. And you know, we've got the best in the country in Fletch, and you know, these guys have, you know, he said it's the best summer we've had, so I'm excited about that.
Coach, do you feel like this team is going to be a better three-point shooting team?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I feel great about a lot of guys. It's something we set out to try to you know, you add Quincy, you add Justin, you add Marcus, you're adding guys that Draven, all of those guys are really good shooters. You know, put Luke back in the mix. You know, Coleman will be an improved shooter. Amani can shoot it. So we've added shooting, and so not sure it could be much worse than it was last year. So we'll pray that it's better.
I know this summer you get now 2 guys to return after going through the process with Finette Lyle and Kofi. What do you think it is about maybe your pitch or what you guys can help them grow in that one more year rather than making that jump and then get better?
Yeah, it's not my pitch. I think it's I stay out of it, to be very honest. But I think it does speak to what we're developing here. I think it speaks to what the comfort that they, you know, Terrence spent most of the off season here. You know, he didn't run off and go do anything else. He knows, you know, what he's got here with Fletch and 24 hours ability to get into a facility and coaches that can work you out. But I think it's just, you know, guys gaining and understanding the information they get and truly making very smart decisions based on that information. And sometimes, you know, when it's time to go, it's time to go. But when it's not, they feel really good about everything that's in place here and the ability to win and be successful. We've done that. And then, you know, from a facility standpoint and a training standpoint, it's pretty good.
When you schedule these games overseas, how much do you know going in about those opponents? I know Fred just played one of those teams you guys are going to go against.
Yeah, Joey just told me that score yesterday afternoon, and that's about all I know. It's usually one of the last things that happens is the scheduling of the games. But you know, we got beaten Italy, so you know, we're going to face teams that are good, and I think obviously the team Fred just played at Nebraska took them to overtime, and so I'm assuming that team's pretty good. And they're older, they're mature, they're acclimated to the rules, you know. So and again, we're going over with the mindset of playing a lot of guys, and we're trying to win them, but we're going to learn a little bit about ourselves in that process as well.